Real Madrid's transfer radar has swung to a new part of the map. A 19-year-old midfielder from the Netherlands who has suddenly become the subject of intense and repeated scouting visits. Reports now suggest the club aren't simply taking notes from afar. They are stepping up their monitoring program and sending scouts to domestic fixtures to see him in competitive action. That level of attention from a club that plans seasons ahead tells you this is more than routine curiosity. It's a strategic look at a player who might slot into Madrid's midfield picture in the medium term. The player at the centre of this story is Kees Smit, an AZ Alkmaar graduate who has spent his formative years climbing through the Dutch academy structure and who, at 19, is now showing the kind of maturity on the ball that attracts elite clubs. He's been singled out in tournament play and by domestic observers for his vision, passing range, and the calm he brings to transitional phases of play. That combination, technical quality paired with tactical reading, is exactly the profile Madrid have long prized in their midfield recruits. Spanish outlets and scouting reports have begun to compare the way he sits and distributes with more established creatives. And that comparison, whether flattering or hyperbolic, has put him on the short list of options Madrid want to follow closely. Crucially, those scouting visits aren't hypothetical. Media coverage indicates a scout will attend AZ's matchday fixtures to observe Smit's live decision-making, off-ball positioning and leadership under pressure. The types of traits that can't be fully assessed on highlight reels alone. Watching a player in an Eredivisie fixture gives evaluators data on his temperament, consistency and response to tactical instruction, which makes these matchday trips meaningful beyond the usual rumour mill. The presence of club scouts in the stands signals that Real want to ground any future approach in first-hand observation rather than networked rumour. There's also context behind the timing. Real Madrid have been re-evaluating several midfield pathways as Xabi Alonso shapes his squad. Rather than seeking an instant fix, the club appear to be planning a graduated approach. Identify young, high-ceiling targets now, monitor their development over a season, then decide whether to act in a targeted transfer window. For a player like Smit, who has youth accolades and growing senior minutes, that plan makes sense. Madrid can balance the urgency of upgrading the midfield with patience, so the player arrives ready, rather than being rushed into a role he isn't yet prepared for. Several outlets reporting on this story make that strategic patience clear, suggesting any concrete move is more likely to materialise in a summer window where both sporting and contractual timing align. From the player's perspective, being watched by Real Madrid is an inflection point. Young players responding positively to elite interest often experience a surge in confidence, but they also face new pressures, heightened expectations, transfer speculation, and the complicated calculus of choosing playing time versus prestige. Reports mention that Smit has expressed openness to the idea of playing for a top club in the future. Yet the realistic path for most teenagers is incremental. More minutes at club level, steady development, then a well-timed move. For Madrid, that means they can cultivate a relationship and reassess after a season of observation. If Real were to activate a plan in 2026, the ramifications are multi-layered. For Madrid, signing a youngster of Smit's profile would be an investment in a midfield identity built around technical control and positional intelligence, traits Xabi Alonso has emphasised. For AZ Alkmaar, it would be another example of the club's productive academy system supplying top European teams. And for the wider market, it would underline how elite clubs are increasingly prepared to scout and secure emerging talents early, shaping career arcs long before the headline transfers of established stars. Yet none of this is guaranteed. Clubs must reconcile scouting impressions with budget, competition from other sources, and the player's own readiness. So what should fans watch for next? First, more detailed scouting reports and match attendance patterns. Repeated visits often precede formal approaches. Second, how Smit performs in the coming weeks of the Eredivisie and continental youth or international fixtures. Sustained excellence changes a monitoring file into an acquisition target. Finally, official dialogue between clubs or sudden agent-led narratives can accelerate timelines. For now, the story is in the watching. A major club evaluating a teenage MVP, thinking long-term, and weighing whether to turn observation into action come summer 2026. That quiet calculation could produce a seismic transfer decision, or it could be another near miss in the endless hunt for the next midfield genius. Either way, The scouts are there, and that changes the game.